Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at the BL550. We're going to actually run some 223 through the press today, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can do that. You can run this press like a single stage with an offline powder dispenser. You can run it as a progressive. It's very versatile, especially when you're not hung up with having the automatic priming system and things like that. It makes it a good all-around press. And you know, it does pick up your productivity from like a standard single stage. So you got plenty of options there. And we're going to go through those. So again, we're going to run some 223. We're going to be using some brass that I got from my good friend Alex over at Revolution Brass. Go check him out, revolutionbrass.com. These are already fully sized, processed, cleaned, trimmed to length. So it's going to make using this press a snap today. So let's jump into it. Let's talk a little bit about the setup that I have going on here. In the last video I did on this 550, the BL550, you saw that I had it set up with the inline fabrication mount, Dillon bullet tray, the inline fabrication skylight. They're double bin brackets here, so that's going to make things nice. Basically, we're going to have our empty cases here, our finished cases here. If we're running this as a true progressive, and you guys running the 550C, that's going to look very familiar. Again, the BL550 is nothing more than a stripped down 550C. And in fact, on the side of the press here, it says 550C. So you can basically upgrade this press as your budget allows to turn it into a 550C if you choose to do so. So with this setup, again, I'm using fully processed brass here. It's already been sized, trimmed, swaged, so it's ready to go. So for my die selection in station 1 here, we are going to use the Lyman M die, and all that is a neck expander die, and it's going to basically make sure that our ID is consistent from case to case, so we get a good consistent neck tension. And it's also going to slightly expand the case mouth to accept our bullet here, and I believe these are 55 grain, pretty standard mill boat tail bullet. In station 2, this is our pour through funnel die. This one comes from Dillon, and inside this is the caliber specific powder funnel that basically inserts just like a normal Dillon powder measure, with the exception of a set screw here on the side to hold it. So setting this up is pretty easy. In station 3, we have our Dillon seating die for our bullets, and then in station 4, our Dillon crimp die. So I think what we're going to do first is kind of show this ran in kind of like a single stage fashion. So what we're going to do first is we're going to use the priming system here. Again, this is manual. So we're going to put the cases up, go ahead and neck expand them, put our primer in, and then move these over to our EP Integrations load block here, and we'll get ready to put the powder in with the powder dispenser. And then I'll show you how we would run this as a progressive. So we're going to run this, you know, kind of like a single stage press in theory here. Basically, we're just going to operate station 1. We're going to go ahead and neck expand our brass. So we're going to run the case up into the die, and then we're going to manually put our primer in. So then as we work through the brass, I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to move it over to our EP Integrations load block there. So then we'll just use the load block to go ahead and put the powder in. And what's really cool, guys, about the 550 series of presses is, you know, when you run a progressive, it definitely feels pretty industrial. You lose a lot of the sensitivity factor, in my opinion. And that's probably why I've always really enjoyed the 550 series of presses anyways. They're just completely a more organic feel. It's just enjoyable. You know, if you're into reloading, running on a 550, really, it's a lot of fun, and you can make some very good quality, accurate, precise ammo on this press. But so I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. We'll fill our load block up, and then we'll move on to throwing some powder over there on our RCBS Chargemaster link. Using our EP Integrations load block there. I really like that. Go check those guys out. I'm sure if you're in the market for another load block, you can never have too many. Go check them out. But I'm going to get these wrapped up, and we'll get back at it. So we've got 20 cases here in our load block. I just want to do a few here to show you guys a couple different ways that we can process ammo on our BL550. So again, I'm using this new Lyman powder funnel I showed you guys a couple weeks ago. Really digging that. And the EP Integrations load block with this setup works very good. So go check out those old videos if you're interested in anything like that. But what we're basically doing is I'm running everything off our RCBS Charge Master and doing all of our powder. So we will keep moving back and forth until we complete this load block. And then what we're going to do next is go ahead and seat our bullet. But I'm going to finish these up, and then we'll talk about bullet seating. All right, so we're wrapping these final few up, and I gotta say, you know, this would go probably a little quicker if you're using like a throw style powder measure, but you know, there's just something that's really enjoyable about just trickling every charge and knowing that you're right there within, you know, 0.1 grain or right on the money every time. It's just rewarding to watch. And there's something to be said about hand dumping every charge as well. So, I mean, if this is how you like to reload, this setup is probably the ticket for you. It's just one of those things for me when I'm doing my own ammo and I'm wanting to be as precise as possible and just want to enjoy the whole process instead of sitting there and cranking, you know, thousands out at a time. This is just kind of back to the basics, and that's the whole premise behind, you know, the BL550. It's the basic loader. So we can do basic processes, or we can complicate it a little bit more. And we're going to take it up a notch here, and I'm going to show you guys kind of what it would look like in, let's say, a semi-progressive or a turret style operation. If you guys remember the last video I did, when I did the setup on the BL550, one of the things that I was really disappointed was that it didn't come with this ejector wire. It's literally a $10 part, I think. I got on Dillon's website and ordered it, but installation, basically just push it in the two holes that was existing into the shell plate. And I think if you're gonna run this like a progressive, you definitely need that ejector wire. And I'm gonna grab a case here and run it around. So if you bear with me, imagine you have a full shell plate and you're cycling the press. You want that automatic kick out every time instead of having to reach in and pull it out. I think it's a necessity, and if you know, it just ties in real nice with the press. Should have come with it, in my opinion. But I wanted to show you guys that I did install that on the press. So that's really the only upgrade that I'm going to make to the press, and it's not even an upgrade. I guess I'm migrated one step closer to a 550C, but there you go. So I'm going to show you guys how you can run this press in like a semi-progressive or like a turret style operation. Now, all of our cases have already had their, been powder filled, got their primers. We ran them as a single stage through station 1. And keep in mind with this press, all you got to do is remove these brass buttons. You can put a case in any station that you wish and run just that station. You don't even need to fill up your tool head with dies. You can do one die at a time, or however you want to do it. So what I'm going to show you is we're going to run this in like a semi-progressive fashion. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab one of the cases from our load block that's already got the primer and powder, and we're going to take a bullet and go ahead and run that up into the die and seat the bullet. Now we're going to index the shell plate, grab another case, put it into station 3, add our bullet, seat, and crimp in the same operation. Now you can hear why I wanted that ejector wire on there, because now I'm ejecting those completed rounds right off station 4. So this is how you can run this press in a semi-progressive manner or in a turret manner, however you want to define that. But it makes things go a little quicker, especially if you're working off a load block like I am. So we'll get these 20 that I've prepped here, we'll get these finished up, and then we'll kind of take a look at what this would look like running it as a progressive, utilizing our powder funnel up there again. So I'm going to get busy, and then we'll check back here in a second. So before we jump into running this like a full progressive style press, I wanted to make a couple comments about this press. While you can run it like a progressive, and it can be done successfully, and you can make great ammo off this press running it in that fashion. I wanted to just kind of give guys that are thinking about this press some things to think about. And you're going to see here shortly, as we run this and fill this shell plate, there is a lot of operations going on that you have to handle yourself manually. Unlike if you're running on a Dillon XL 750 or another progressive press, it's putting the primer in for you, it's putting the powder charge in for you, it may even be putting the bullet in for you. It's probably also putting the case in for you. So in this press, you're going to be doing all of that yourself. And it's very important to get a process together, maybe even write it down, that you can follow and go slow and work and build a cadence and build your muscle memory so that you're doing everything that you need to be doing. You know, maybe starting off running it like I showed you earlier, like a single stage, maybe a semi-style progressive, but things are going to get complicated. So make sure that you have a good system wrote down that you're going to follow. Make sure that you have time to do it, and make sure that you're not going to be distracted while you're doing so. It's very easy to miss an operation, especially the charging operation, because you're pouring that in by hand. So just things to think about. I want you guys to do this safely, be successful at it, but I wanted to throw in there, you know, this is going to get complicated and it's going to require a lot more discipline. So just food for thought. But let's jump into running it like a progressive. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the progressive fashion that you can run this press. And the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to show you the cycle of the shell plate with one case in at a time, so we can familiarize ourselves with what's going to be happening in each station. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a case from our empty case bin, put it in station 1, and then run it up into our M die. Now, this is where we're going to install our primer into the cup right down here. Push forward and set our primer. And now we're going to go ahead and run the case up into station 2. We're going to grab our powder charge and we're going to drop it right now. Set this back up. Now we're going to move the case into station 3. This is where we're going to install our bullet. Run it up into the press. Come forward. And now we're going to rotate our shell plate again into station 4. And that's going to apply our crimp. And then we are done. So there's our completed round, running one at a time around the shell plate. Now let's kick it up a notch. So now things are going to get a little bit complicated, so follow along with me the best you can. We're going to fill this shell plate up and run it progressive like you would on a 550C. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our empty case, run it up into our station 1 die, put in our primer, get it on the downstroke, index over. Now this is where things start getting complicated, but it's totally doable. Station 1, we're going to do our next size, powder, primer. Now that we have everything set up, now we're going to grab our powder, put in our powder. We're going to come on our downstroke, install our primer, and we're going to repeat. So now we're going to be adding the bullet. So we're going to be M die into and our powder and our bullet install. Here we go. Don't forget your primer. That's probably the easiest thing to forget, is that primer. Put your powder in. and your primer. So now we have the shell plate full. I guess I'm waiting on my dispenser here to trickle in. It stopped pretty short, but you know, that's the beauty of it. We're going to get a consistent charge every time. Again, if you want to use a powder throw, like a throw style powder measure, probably make things go a little quicker. Install our primer. And there's our first completed round. So again, this process is pretty tedious now. We're going to make sure we put in a bullet, put a case in, run the dies up, put our primer in, and then throw our powder. Just like that. And then we're going to repeat until we finish all these up or get close, and then we'll have some final thoughts on it, and we'll go from there. Hey guys, thanks for watching our video on the BL550. Today I just showed you a couple different ways you can run this press. BL stands for basic loader, and you can see it's super versatile. I'm sure as you guys are watching me show you a couple things, you know, you had your own ideas of how you would operate the press, or if you got one, maybe your method's a little different. And that's what makes this press really nice, is you're not tied to, or I shouldn't say you're not slave to a priming system, a powder measure. You have endless abilities to do it however you want. So that's just kind of what I wanted to show everyone today on this video. If you guys like these videos, please hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell for notifications so you stay up to date on everything that we have coming up. Over the next couple months, we're going to be doing some more reloading on the BL550, and then we're going to jump back over and do some more detail work on the RL1100 in the next coming month or so. It's getting summertime, so you guys know that's busy for everyone, but we're going to try to stay after it, show you guys some new products. Still want to go through some of the cleaning stuff that we like to do and all that good stuff. But if you have any questions or comments, the best way to get a hold of me is on my email, squatchreloading@gmail.com. I also want to thank all those guys that are sticking around and supporting the channel on Patreon. We appreciate it so much. So thanks to you guys over there. Also, we are still working on, we've got our channel set up on Rumble, and slowly but surely we're going to try to get all of our content over there so you guys can watch that. I know there's just different things going on over there. So we're gonna jump on the bandwagon and get our content over there so we don't lose any of it. Wow, that's gonna wrap this one up. Again, I appreciate all of you very much. But until next time, God bless.